भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Okay, so as I had mentioned to you that this week our Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, which we call CHIK, they are going to be reflecting on Mahamrityunjaya Mantra. So today we have with us Akash. And Akash is going to reflect on Om.
Hari Om. So, Om. So today, last time we saw, like when Shubhani ji mentioned about Om, we saw the interpretation of Om as like the three sounds U, and Ma to be of gross world, the causal, the subtle world, and the causal world. So today we will see another interpretation of Om using Mandukya Upanishad. So to a little story about like Mandukya Upanishad is one of the smallest Upanishads among all the Upanishads, but the most powerful of all the Upanishads. And a small story around Mandukya Upanishad is when Hanumanji asked Sri Ramchandra ji, like, what should I do to get liberation? So Sri Ramchandra Bhagwan mentioned that you should read Mandukya Upanishad, and then he quoted like, uh, Mandukya ekameva alam mumukshanam vimuktaye. That means Mandukya alone is sufficient for attaining liberation, like is sufficient for gaining liberation or giving liberation to those who intensely desire for it. So in Mandukya Upanishad, beautifully, our experience, our daily experience, individual experience has been analyzed, and it has correlated, and they have correlated it with the three sounds of Om. And in a way, they have told us how we can meditate upon Om to realize our true nature, the non-dual nature. So it starts with the waking state. They say that our first state is the waking state, and the waking state includes the pure consciousness associated with the waking, with the waking state plus, so that becomes the waker who experiences this waking universe. Uh, that's currently what we are experiencing right now. The second, and the Mandukya Upanishad gives this symbol as the first akshar, because since the waking state is the primary state in which we perform all our inquiry and we perform all our activities, that's why that's the first letter that is associated with a. The second state is the dream state. So in the dream state, the pure consciousness is associated with the dreamer, with the dream state, and becomes the dreamer, and that dreamer experiences the dream universe. So that entirety is symbolized with U, the sound of U. And the third state is the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, where the waking experiences and dream experiences merge back into unmanifested state, that is the deep sleep state, where our normal experiences, oh, like I slept like a log of wood, or I slept so peacefully that I did not notice anything. So generally that is the kind of experience that we have of deep sleep state. So sometimes we say that I did not experience anything, but to be more precise, it's better to say I experienced nothing, because according to Advaita Vedanta, in deep sleep state, instead of saying that there is nothing, we say that there is only pure consciousness, which is and it doesn't have any objects to reflect upon. For example, when we have, let's say, Earth and the Sun, when we go in the outer space where there is no medium, we see that the space between Earth and the Sun is seen as black, is seen as empty. But we are quite certain that that's not empty. That's full of light. Only thing is there is no object to reflect it upon. So if we put some object, let's say a satellite or a spaceship comes in between the Earth and the sun, it will surely reflect that sunlight. So that's how our deep sleep state is, and that is symbolized with the letter with the sound of M. So that's the three states first Mandukya Upanishad talks about, and then it goes to the fourth state, which it's called, which the Mandukya Upanishad calls it Turiya. Turiya literally means the fourth. So when the Mandukya Upanishad says that this is the fourth state, we shouldn't get the idea that this is something other than these three states. It's in fact the basis of these three states. It is without this state of Turiya, uh, the other three states cannot be possible. For example, let's say we take an example of gold and bracelet, necklace, and a chain. So a gold is the substance for bracelet, necklace, and chain. Gold doesn't gold. So these bracelets, necklace, and chain cannot exist without gold. And if we say we'll throw out this bracelet, necklace, and chain and we will look for gold, then we are again mistaken, because gold is nothing separate from these three states. So these three states uh, is pervaded by that pure consciousness, that turiya, that non-dual reality, or we call it by different names like Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness, pure awareness. So that is basically the turiya, the fourth state, and that is symbolized by the silence that we have after we have the dirgha ucharan of Om, or the long ucharan of Om. So in a way, Mandukya Upanishad is saying that when we say this mantra of Om, so we should have these all three states coming into our mind, and then we should focus on the thing which is constant in all these three states, and the constant thing in all these three states is that pure consciousness. And then when we reached at that silence, when the ma, and like I forgot, why did we why is pure Turiya compared to the silence, is because just like from pure consciousness, every other state emerges and goes back into pure consciousness. Similarly, from silence, every other sounds comes up and then goes back to silence. So that is why it is compared to silence. And when we actually concentrate on that Om as a sound, and we when we bring about these three states in our mind, and then we concentrate on the thing which is common to all these three states, which is the pure consciousness. So in the silence, we witness that this pure consciousness only remains as a blazing light. So that is the power of this Om. And when Shivani in the last lecture mentioned on the Om, that Om has in itself the power to liberate, that one, this Akshar is enough for liberation. But sometimes it becomes like our rishis knew very well that this this may not be enough for all the kind of individuals there. So that's why we associate this Om with all other mantras, so that we can concentrate our mind on those mantras, and slowly move step by step in the upward direction. And this Om is not only limited to like our Advaita or Hindu philosophy. It is like pervaded across every other religion. For example, in Sikhism we have Ek Omkar. In Buddhism we have Om Mani Padma Om. So that's, and even in Jainism we have the concept of Om, which symbolizes Pras, Pachesti or some. I'm forgetting. That's something that which is they call it. So that is basically uh, the significance of Om. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you. That was very nice. So I hope now everybody knows what Om means, right? So a deeper reflection on the word Om. And so now when we do our mantra and when we chant Om, think about this. Think deeply about this. Okay?